This week's parsha, we have an idea from Reb Eliyahu Baruch Finkel. He was a grandson of Rabbi Dovid Finkel. The Rashiva of the Mir in Europe and in Eretz Yisrael, and they came after the war. Reb Eliyahu Baruch points out that the difference between Yaakov and Eisav is one is called an ish sadeh and one is called a yoshev ohalim. One was a man of the field and one was a man of the tents. Is that the main difference between Yaakov and Eisav? Wasn't one a murderer and one wanted to learn, one learned? And yet the Torah defines them as an ish sadeh and a yoshev ohalim. Says Rashi, an ish sadeh is someone who's an ish batel. He did nothing. He was idle, lethargic. What does that mean in ish sadeh? So Reb Eliyahu Baruch says that the Mishnah in Ksuvas tells us that idleness, nothingness, being lethargic leads to promiscuity. And that was Eisav's downfall. The ish sadeh, the being an ish batel, doing nothing, that led to his life of promiscuity, led to a life of doing things that were inappropriate. Furthermore, the Rambam says that any heart that's empty of Torah wisdom, any leiv hapanui min hachachma, so what happens? That lets the lust for inappropriate behaviors to enter. And that's what happened to Eisav. The ish sadeh was what led to his downfall. His idleness led to his lust. Contrast that to Yaakov. He was yoshev ohalim. He filled himself up with Torah, and that with the connecting to Hashem. And that is what led him down his path, and not a life of promiscuity like Eisav. In fact, ohalim is actually plural. He went to two yeshivas, yeshiva Shem and yeshiva Aver. As opposed to doing nothing, being idle and lethargic, Yaakov actually continued. When he was in one yeshiva, he gained. He went to the next yeshiva, always growing, always trying to improve, always striving to get better and better. Unkala says that yoshev ohalim means he was tava ulpen. It means he actually demanded Torah. He insisted, like he claimed, like a tviyah on somebody, a claim on somebody. He claimed Torah. He demanded Torah. He was insistent. He was pushing. He was growing. These are two totally opposite approaches to life. The question is, where's our inside? Is the inside lethargic? Is the inside full of idleness? If that's true, that's a life of Eisav. Or is the inside we have to grow? There's more to go. There's more to grow from. That's yoshev ohalim, continuous growth, striving for more. That is a life of Yaakov. At the sale of the birthright, the pasuk tells us that Eisav says, "Give me the adom ha'adom hazeh. Give me this red stuff." And Yaakov's like, I'll give it to you for the birthright. How did Yaakov know that? How is he so confident that Eisav was going to sell a birthright, the merit to serve Hashem, like the Kohanim did back when it was the firstborn? How is Yaakov certain that Eisav was going to give that up for some food? Explains one of the current rebbeim in the Mir of Shmuley Woolman that everything in the world has what we call a pnim and a chutz, an inside and an outside. There's an inner and there's an outer world. Everything in the world, there's an inner neshama, inner soul to it, something holy inside of it, and then there's the outer layer. Eisav needed food. He should have referred to the food as lentil, as soup, as a stew, that which is going to give him his energy to continue. But all he saw at that moment was the red stuff, the adom hadom hazeh. That was a sign to Yaakov that the way this person lived his life was superficially, bechitzonius, in the outer world. He wasn't yet privy to seeing the inner world. And that was something which Yaakov said is not fitting for someone to serve Hashem. And that's why Rashi tells us that because this is an avoda for the bechoros, for the firstborn, Amar Yaakov, ein rasha zeh kedai sheYaakov l'Kadosh Baruch Hu. It is not fitting for such a person to serve sacrifices to Hashem. Someone who can't see the true essence of the world and just sees the adom hadom hazeh, just sees the outside world, that's not someone. It's not fitting for such a person to be able to serve Hashem in the highest level. Eisav just lost his grandfather. He lost Avram Avinu. And the Gemara tells us that when a person loses somebody, it's supposed to be v'hachai yitein elibo. You're supposed to take it, think about it, what it means life, what it means death, and think about that. And at that moment, all Eisav saw was the red stuff. That was a sign to Yaakov that this was not fitting for him to serve Hashem in the way of which a bechor, which the Kohanim did later on, were supposed to do. Yaakov Avinu was serving what was customary. He was serving lentils. things that were meant to symbolize the somber state of Avelus and the cyclical nature of life. Yet all Eisav could see under such circumstances was the chitzonius, the externals. And that was something which was not fitting for someone to have the Bechorah. As the children of Yaakov, the Bnei Yisrael, it's up to us to not live like Eisav. When we see things, we have two options. We can see the outside, or we could see the inside. We could look at the Adom Hadom Hazeh, and that's all we see is the external layer. We can look at people and see their externals, or you could look deeper and see the internals. Hashem can be found everywhere, every situation, every life circumstance. The question is, are we going to look at it in a superficial way on the outside, or are we going to look at it from the inside? If we look at it from the inside, then we're able to win the game of hide and seek. We're able to find Hashem in every situation in this world. So these are the two ideas. One is Yaakov and Eisav, the contrast. One being idle, which led to his downfall, and one of constant growth. And secondly, such a person is always looking to grow. He's not going to stop at what he sees in front of him, at the red stuff. He's going to look past the red stuff and see the inner workings of whatever Hashem deals in, whatever card he gets dealt. Such a person who could look in the pnimiyus, in the inside, in the inner workings of the world, of situations, of people, such a person is a child of Yaakov. Such a person merits a title to be the Bnei Yisrael. The world around us is a beautiful state. It's gorgeous. All we have to do is look behind the surface and gain a greater appreciation. Only by defeating the Eisav inside of us will be able to find Hashem and be able to succeed in finding Hashem in this world. Shabbos.